Welcome to PSMP Pro Notes, where we simplify community medicine for easy learning. Whether you're just starting or need a quick refresher, we've got you covered with clear and engaging content. Let's get started. Hit subscribe and the bell icon for more content, and check the description for notes. Welcome to today's session. Today, we'll be diving deep into cohort studies, which are a vital component of prospective research in epidemiology. These studies are used to determine how specific exposures or risk factors can influence the development of a disease or outcome over time. Let's break down the concept of cohort studies in a detailed manner, ensuring we understand the methodology, advantages, and potential challenges. If you find this explanation helpful, be sure to subscribe for more in-depth discussions on various research methodologies. What is a cohort study? A cohort study is a type of prospective study where we observe a group of individuals, called a cohort, over time. This group shares a common characteristic, such as age, occupation, or lifestyle. At the start of the study, the cohort is assumed to be free of the disease being studied. Over time, we follow these individuals to see who develops the disease or condition and who does not. This allows us to study the association between exposure to certain risk factors and the development of disease. The key feature of cohort studies is that they are prospective. This means they are carried out moving forward from the point of starting the study, as opposed to retrospective studies, where researchers look back in time. Elements of a cohort study. There are several essential elements that make up a cohort study, each of which plays a crucial role in obtaining reliable results. Selection of study subjects. First, we define the study group, which consists of individuals who share common characteristics and are exposed to the potential risk factor being studied. The control group consists of individuals who are not exposed to the risk factor. The control group serves as a benchmark to compare the exposed group against. The study group might consist of general populations, e.g., adults in a particular region, or special groups, e.g., workers in a specific industry exposed to certain chemicals. Obtaining data on exposure. The next step is collecting detailed data on exposure. This could involve surveys, interviews, medical records, environmental assessments, and other methods. Exposure data can come from various sources, such as personal interviews, medical records, or environmental surveys, which help us identify the risk factors associated with the disease. Follow-up of study participants. One of the most important aspects of a cohort study is the follow-up. This step involves regularly monitoring the participants for the development of the disease or health outcome. Follow-up methods include medical examinations, reviewing hospital records, and periodic surveys or telephone interviews to track participants' health status. Analysis. The goal of the analysis is to estimate the risk of developing the disease among the exposed group compared to the non-exposed group. This is typically done by calculating the incidence rates and comparing them between groups. The main analyses often include calculating relative risk, RR, which gives us the ratio of disease risk between exposed and non-exposed groups. Types of cohort studies. Cohort studies can be categorized into two main types: prospective, concurrent cohort study. In a prospective cohort study, we follow the cohort forward from the point of exposure to observe the incidence of outcomes. An example could be studying smoking and lung cancer. We might start with a group of smokers and non-smokers, and then follow them over several years to see who develops lung cancer. Advantages include minimizing recall bias, as the data is collected in real time before the outcome occurs. However, they are time-consuming and expensive due to the long follow-up periods required. Retrospective cohort study. A retrospective cohort study uses pre-existing data, such as medical records, to assess the relationship between exposure and disease. This is often done for diseases with long latency periods. For instance, you might use hospital records to study the link between exposure to a particular drug and the development of birth defects. Advantages include being less time-consuming and less expensive. But there are risks of information bias due to reliance on past records. Advantages of cohort studies. Cohort studies have several key advantages. Temporal relationship. Cohort studies allow us to establish a temporal relationship between exposure and outcome. This means we can demonstrate that the exposure occurred before the disease, which is crucial for determining causality. Direct measurement of incidence. These studies allow us to directly measure the incidence, or rate of new cases, of disease in both exposed and non-exposed groups. This is important for understanding how exposure influences the risk of developing the disease. Comparative groups. These studies also allow for the direct comparison of risk between exposed and non-exposed groups, providing us with relative risk, RR estimates, that quantify how much more likely the exposed group is to develop the disease. Longitudinal data. Since cohort studies are conducted over time, they provide valuable insights into the progression and natural history of diseases, helping us understand how the disease develops and progresses over time.